These old hills are full of history. No matter where we go up and down these Appalachians. And sometimes you find some really rare history in these hollers across these mountains. And old cemeteries. And you find history of people like this. This is the story of Pharoah Chesney, said to be 126 years old when he died. Now there's a conflict in the dates because of the old history. But what a story he had. I can only touch on the hard times that he's seen in these 126 years. You're looking at Clinch Mountain, Union County. Now this is some old history that's just about forgotten. But I know Pharaoh here, the Lord has blessed him with a long life, but he's seen so many hardships and struggles. And I could only touch on a portion of his story. His full story is in this book, The Last of the Pioneers. Now, I don't know if you can find this book, but you sure can find it still online, and I'll leave a link to it under the description of this video. And it's some really good reading if you want to take your time to read it. Now, he was born back in a time when this country was starting out. Here's an early map. And the X is about where he was born. He was born in Virginia. They said there's a conflict in the dates. Some say he was born in 1776. Some said he was born in 1782. Either way, that's a long time ago. And in the book, it says that he didn't meet George Washington, but he's seen him as a young man. And I'm sure he worked these fields. He was born of a mixed race, a mulatto. Well, that stands for a mixed race. I say he had a white father. But in his early age, he had a wife and 3 kids, I was told. But the sad part about this slavery, they treated him like cattle back in them days. And he was sold off, separated from his wife and kids. By Andrew Jackson, bought him out of Virginia. The worst thing about Andrew Jackson is what he done to the Native Americans. When he took him out of Virginia to Andrew Jackson's Hermitage here, just outside of Nashville today. So much history that nobody knows. And his big plantation that he had started here, the Hermitage, just outside of Nashville, and he had 150 slaves at one time working his plantation, his farms. And you could still see stuff like this at the Hermitage, where the slaves used to leave their quarters, where they lived at. They preserved these. And here's just an old picture of how they lived. Hard times for them. And they worked these fields just like they did anywhere, no matter who they was sold to. Hard work, day after day. But when he was around the age of 50, said he was sold again This time he was bought by John Chesney out of Union County, Tennessee, eastern Tennessee. Now here on the county map of Tennessee, you can see about where he was at. Union County, right there where the X is. And there's where he spent the rest of his life. Up to the Civil War, well, he was a free man. He worked this land and this farm until he was free. And I'd say he was a sharecropper. But this is a picture of his home. He lived on Copper Ridge, just outside of Luttrell. This is the kind of country, when I found his gravesite, of where he lived at. It's such a peaceful place, beautiful, up these little ridges and hollers of Clinch Mountain. And he lived a long life. He married again and had a son. And the Lord blessed him with a long life. Well, he fell sick with a fever and he died. There's a conflict in the dates. The book says one thing, newspaper articles say one thing, different stories say a different thing. But back then, how do you know when you was born? They never kept no good records. But this is it. Old Pharaoh. And he was being remembered by the stories in this book, or he would have been forgotten. What a life and what struggles he must have seen. And he's buried up on a little ridge knoll here in Union County, just off the little highway route that goes through here. Peaceful little place, serene to itself. And this little graveyard is kept up real good too. Just in the farm hills of East Tennessee. Peaceful place. The name of the graveyard is Wyrick Cemetery in Union County, Tennessee, just outside of Luttrell. And I love finding these places. Oh, there's so much history around us if you just take the time to look and study that's out there. Here's his headstone. And he's been updated since 2000. Somebody put a new stone up. See the conflict in the dates? But it don't matter. 120 years old or 126. Lord, that's a long life. He's among one of the oldest people that lived in America. And here's a map if you ever want to visit it, of Union County. You could see Manual up there to the top. Luttrell's down to the bottom off of the map. But here's the little map to it, and the state route 270 on Bull Run Road. It's not hard to find. Such beautiful country here if you've never seen it either. Beautiful. And he lived a long life, and the Lord has blessed him. He won't be forgotten. He's being remembered. It's like so many of our people in these mountains. And I love to find their history, and I love to share it. Our people need to be remembered no matter what color or race they are. And I want to thank my sister for coming across this little story. So I want to thank y'all for watching. Hope you enjoy these. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.